Today I'm reacting to budget versus expensive gaming setups that you guys sent in my Discord server. There's some absolutely crazy gaming setups, so I recommend you guys to watch the full video and let me know which one is your favorite. Anyways, I'm going to be first starting off with the budget setups with Arian's setup right here. So in this setup, not only does he have an Acer Nitro 5 gaming laptop, but he even has a PS5, and his gaming laptop has a GTX 1650 and a Ryzen 5, which is somewhat similar to the gaming laptop I use, so I would say it's fairly budget. But he has it all hooked up to a 240Hz monitor in the middle, and it looks like he's mainly a controller player because he has a controller on his mouse pad. Before his mouse, he has a Logitech G203, which I heard is a pretty good budget gaming mouse. But one thing I am confused about is where his gaming keyboard is. Overall, I'd give this setup a 6 out of 10. It's honestly nothing too special, but he has a gaming laptop and a PlayStation. I would recommend maybe getting a keyboard, obviously, and then also putting your laptop on top of a stand. But let's move on to the next setup. So the next setup is from Nothing. That is quite literally his name on Discord. But as you can see, he has a gaming laptop. This time it's the HP Victus 15. He said it has a i5 12500H and an RTX 4050. And I've seen the HP Victus quite a lot online and in stores. It looks like a really clean laptop to me. But hooked up to his laptop, he has this custom keyboard. I'm not super knowledgeable in custom keyboards, but it sounds like he has some pretty nice sounding switches and also some nice white keycaps. Anyways, though, for his mouse, he's using the ROG Keras. And then for his audio, he's using these Roccat stereo headphones. I'm honestly not sure how good they are, but I think Roccat is a pretty good company, so I'm just gonna assume they're pretty good. But overall, this setup is really simple yet again. It's literally just the essentials that you would need in a gaming setup. So I'm probably gonna rate this a 6 out of 10 again. Maybe just try and get like a laptop stand or even a monitor if you really need one. So the next setup is taking it to the next level since it's an actual desktop setup. But this is from Thibaut, and he says he's 14 years old, and his PC over on the right has a RTX 3060 and a Ryzen 5 5600. And honestly, those are some really good specs. I've heard the 5600 is a really good value CPU. Same with the RTX 3060. And then something else that catches my eye is the dual monitor setup. So he's using a Samsung 144Hz monitor as his main one. And then for his secondary display, he has a Dell monitor, which is only 60Hz. And that's completely fine if it's a second monitor. Like, it really doesn't even matter how good it is. And then for his mouse, he has the SteelSeries Rival 3, which is actually the mouse I used to use for like 3 years. So yeah, I'd rate this setup an 8 out of 10. It just looks really clean with all the color matching RGBs. And then something I'd maybe suggest is just putting your keyboard's LEDs to purple as well. But moving on to the last budget setup, we got this setup from Sniper, and he didn't actually send anything that's in his setup, so I'm basically just gonna have to guess. So on the left, I can see that he has a PlayStation 5, and then he also has a dual monitor setup. It looks like the one in the middle, I'm assuming, is an actual gaming monitor, and the one on the right just looks like a normal office monitor maybe. And also I can see that he has a monitor light bar which kind of lights up the area a little bit more. But anyways, for his keyboard, he's rocking a full-size Logitech keyboard. I'm honestly not a fan of full-sized keyboards, but if it works for him, that's great. And then he has all of that on top of a white topographic mouse pad, and it looks pretty clean, I'd say. But the only thing I'm concerned about maybe is his mouse room. Because he has a full-size keyboard, it doesn't really look like he has a lot of room for his mouse. So I'm gonna rate this setup a 7 out of 10 since it does look a little cramped, as I said before. But I really like the lighting that he has and just the overall layout of this setup. So before we get into the expensive gaming setups, I want to take a moment to tell you guys about this new microphone from Maono. This is their PD100X gaming and streaming microphone, and I've been recording this whole video's voiceover on it, so let me show you guys why it's one of the best budget microphones. First off, this microphone is compatible with any kind of audio interface you might have, and if your setup isn't that advanced, don't worry because the mic itself already has a lot of controls built in, such as this volume knob for both your headphones and the mic itself. There's also an easy to access tap to mute button in case you ever need it, and on the bottom of the mic there's a headphone jack, the USB-C port, as well as the RGB control. And let me tell you, the RGB on this mic looks absolutely incredible. Since the whole microphone is made of this translucent material, the whole thing lights up super bright. And if that's not enough customization, you can even download Maono's app to control more settings from there. The link to this microphone will be in the description for you guys to check out. But anyway, let's get back into the video and tune over to the expensive setups. And you guys are definitely gonna notice the difference when I start showing every setup here. So the first one right here is from Vinny, which is actually a laptop gaming setup. And at first you probably wouldn't even notice that it's a laptop setup, but that's because he has it off to the side in the dark. And this is another really clean setup in my opinion. He has a dual monitor setup, and for his keyboard he's using a White Shark TKL keyboard, and then for his mouse he has an Attack Shark X3. It's like a $30-$40 mouse, I'm pretty sure, and it's really similar to the Logitech G Pro wireless. But one of my favorite things about this setup has to be the RGBs he has. It's like a bunch of blue lights everywhere, and then he even has a lamp on the table just to light up the desk a little bit more. But overall, I'm gonna give this setup a 9 out of 10. I feel like there's nothing you can really improve since it already looks so clean. But let's move on to the next setup. So the next setup right here is from Stixy, and at first glance, it looks like a pretty normal PC setup. That is until you look at the star of the show, the actual desktop itself. So it's powered by a 4070 Ti Super and a Ryzen 7800X 3D. And if you guys don't know, this is a really good combination for a PC, and it can basically run any game you throw at it. And I'm pretty sure he gets like 500 stable FPS in Fortnite, which is pretty crazy to me. And to me, it's kind of like a sleeper PC because you wouldn't even notice that it's that good of a PC. There's basically no lights on it, and it's just an all black setup. But moving on, he also has a dual monitor setup, which is kind of common in this video, as you guys can tell. And then for his peripherals, he's using a SteelSeries Apex Pro TKO. I'm pretty sure this used to be the fastest keyboard out there, but now there's like the Wooting and then also the Apex Pro Mini, obviously. But nonetheless, the Apex Pro is still a really good keyboard even to this day. Well, I'm gonna give this setup an 8.5 out of 10 just because it's not too crazy. I feel like it's a really clean setup, but it would be pretty nice if you maybe had some RGB lights or something, and then also maybe got a dedicated mouse pad. So I'm gonna move on to the next setup now, as we only have 2 more left. So this is Munchie's gaming setup, and as you can see, it looks kind of similar to my setup, to be honest, except that he does have a way better laptop than me. So he has a Lenovo Legion 5, I believe that is, with a Ryzen 5 7640HS processor and a RTX 4060. I'm assuming this laptop is anywhere from like $800 to like $1,300. That is the general price range for a 4060 laptop, but he has that all on a monitor and laptop arm, which is kind of similar to what I use. So if you guys look at my other videos, my setup does look kind of similar to this. And then talking about the monitor, he has a Coolroy 165Hz monitor. Something that really catches my eye is the keyboard he's using. He has a Yunzi YZ75, and it looks like it has a RGB light bar running around it, which honestly looks pretty clean in my opinion. And then to match that, he has a Glorious Model O mouse. Yeah, the setup honestly looks pretty clean. I really like the little car he has underneath the monitor. I think that's some kind of Lego set maybe. I'm also gonna give this setup an 8 out of 10 since it looks really nice. Something I would maybe try and do is sync up the lighting from the keyboard and mouse, and then maybe also hide some of the cables that you can see. But apart from that, it's a really nice looking setup. Alright, so for the last setup right here, we have JJ, and just automatically you can tell how insane this setup looks like. So not only does he have 3 monitors, but he actually has a dual PC setup. I think he's probably like a streamer or a content creator, because 2 PCs is kind of crazy, not gonna lie. And then once you hear the specs of his PCs, it's even more crazy. So his main PC, which is the one he uses for gaming, has a 14900KF and a RTX 4080. And then his second PC, which he uses for streaming, has a 13900K and a 4060 Ti. So both of his PCs are just absolute units. Bro, he has to be winning FNCS on this setup though. And then his main monitor is a 360Hz Acer monitor, which he said is $1,100. Yo, $1,100 on a monitor is crazy, but if it's helping you win FNCS, I don't see a problem with it. And then for his top monitor, that one is 280Hz and it's $600. And then for the monitor on the left, which is 240Hz, it's $256. So all 3 of his monitors could get you a pretty high-end PC, which is kind of crazy to think about. And then surprisingly, with all of this, for his microphone, he's using the same microphone that I use, which is the Fifine AM8. And then obviously you need to have the fastest peripherals when you have the fastest PC. So he has a Apex Pro Mini keyboard and a Logitech G Pro wireless. I think I'm gonna have to give this setup a 10 out of 10 since it looks so crazy.